Hey guys, it's me again. I just want to talk about a game I made recently called Temple of Mystery. I've been developing this game for a little while now, maybe over 2 weeks, I don't know, 3, but I've had this on the back burner for a while now. I just want to talk about how I made this game, how this was made, and the failed games that came before it. So I first want to talk about making the entities of the game. So that would be your player, the snail, the frog, anything that you can interact with. So to make those, I had to do some inheritance. You make a base class for all your entities to inherit from, and use that to make the other entities of the game. The enemy types in this game are the snail, the other types of frogs, and the fast snail. Programming this game was a bit easier at first, but it became harder to maintain the code in my game because I made some sloppy mistakes like this, and this. I could do some better implementation if I wasn't setting myself on a deadline, which was the 15th. Now that I'm past that deadline, it's the 18th when I'm recording this. I can add all I want into the game because the base game is there already. There are some unfinished ideas in this game that I didn't get to implement in time. Something like gems acting like advanced coins in Super Mario Bros. 2 and the GBA. Those coins would have been turned into gems. I ran out of time to implement the supercharge of the game, but there is a sound and you can crouch in the game. Which reminds me, you cannot move all that much while crouching. Some inspirations of this game are clearly based off Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. 3 being the boss at the end that you can fight. The boss was based off Boom Boom from Super Mario Bros. 3 if you remember him. You could kill him in like 3 seconds, but in this game it would take you much longer since your jump does not hurt him. Touching him can hurt you anyways. That's a way I could find to increase the difficulty of the boss. Other enemy types are also hard in this game, such as the Snatcher, who will grab boxes and throw them at you. Those enemies are also based off Super Mario Bros. 3, which is based off Buster Beetle, who can throw crates at you, or breakable blocks. There is an Easter egg in the game that some players have found, but they were not found legitimately except for one person who managed to find it due to a secret spot that I put into the map of level 1. So if you want to look for that Easter egg, look at that level. So people found this Easter egg unintentionally by clipping through the level. Yeah, this game is pretty buggy and you can just clip through the level whenever you want. And that's because the rigid body that Unity uses, I'm using Unity to develop this game, it uses actual physics, and too much pressure on your player can clip the player, and if you did not notice, the player is loosely based off this channel's avatar. Well, not loosely, it exactly is the channel's avatar. So that needs to be fixed. Some bug reports I have listed here are: you can get stuck in the ground when crouching with an object, which I did not manage to fix when I first published this game. Objects can get stuck in walls, which is a bit lazy of me to not fix, even though I never encountered this. Perhaps should have done more playtesting in hindsight. There's no parallaxing for the mountains in level 1, which I wrote here by the way. And that's because I forgot to implement this while working on the game. This would be one of the first things I should have implemented, but I didn't. Dropping objects on top of your head when crouching clips you through the ground, which I mentioned already. That's how the Easter egg was found after all. The jumping height is unpredictable when you jump over a cliff or hole, but other times you can't. Now the person who said this, I didn't know what they meant at first, but now I get it. I think it's because of the rigid body physics that Unity uses to calculate the velocity of your character. So what's happening here is that the player is constantly getting bounced around, randomly shot up, and this can be mostly seen by when you jump on the frogs in the first level. Now this is one I reported myself, which is that the lantern in level 2 can randomly move you at very high velocity. And that's when you crouch, by the way. I don't know exactly how this happened, but I have a suspicion that it's probably, again, Rigid Body 2D. There is a place where you can jump off the level at level 1 because I forgot to put an invisible wall at the end of the level, and that's my fault for not doing that. Here's one that I did not know could happen, but apparently can. So the objects being destroyed in the middle of it being destroyed, the objects can randomly prevent from never picking up an object ever again. Now I have no idea how to fix this 100%, but I could try to put in maybe some implementation that avoids this, but it could probably chalk up to me doing some lazy implementation and not fully checking whether the object is destroyed or not. Now here's what I wrote down myself again because I saw a lot of players countering this issue. So there are no invincibility frames when you get hit, and that's something I'll work to implementing once I upgrade the game. One more bug on here, and this is the last bug, is that you can't throw objects when in the air, although I was certain that you could, but apparently you can't. I've tried it and you can't, so I need to fix that. Okay, so to summarize, this game is in an unpolished and mostly buggy state. To improve this, I need to rework how I structure my entities, everything like that. Because there are a lot of case exceptions where I do this instead of, actually fixing the issue. I kind of like work around the issue, which I should not do. I need to also focus down on implementation of finished ideas and improving the entity system that I have in place. I perhaps need to make the level just a bit longer, because I feel that the levels as they are right now are on the way too short side. And from what I've seen of other players playing my game, that the levels, especially level 2, is a bit on the too hard side for most players. There is a trick in the game that allows you to skip a section of that game, of that section, but most players did not catch on that you could actually grab the enemies. Some players that I talked to also recommended that I should look into definitely include an instructions tab for what kind of section, or it explains what you do in the game and some tricks that you can do which puts the movement of the game into full use. Here's one strange suggestion that I got in the game. A player suggested that I should add shurikens to the game. Now I thought about this, and my channel is based off ninjas, so it could perhaps be interesting to add shurikens. They could be an extra option for players who want to kill enemies quickly but don't want to pick up boxes and throw them at enemies, since they could be a little unreliable. Shurikens could just fly towards the enemy and kill them straight away, and this would be perfect for newer players if they don't know how to properly utilize the core mechanics of the game. I think a major way I could improve this game is by perhaps ditching the Rigid Body 2D that's included with Unity. The Unity Rigid Body 2D system is not meant for a game like this. It could work, but I'd have to change everything within a Rigid Body 2D, like a lot of the time, perhaps even every frame, like change the gravity scale, change if it's kinematic or not, perhaps even just like changing the mass of your character every frame, your linear drag. I actually planned to change the linear drag, but I only wanted to change for the x-axis. It also changes the y-axis as well, which is not what I want, and there's an option for it to change the collision resolution, or whatever it's called. I don't have the name of it off the top of my head. That is kind of perhaps not what I want. What I want instead is basic physics, collision resolution, check walls, check the distance between the player and the wall, anything like that. And that itself, not aided by all Rigid Body 2D stuff that's implemented on top of it, could prove to make better player feel and better responsiveness. So I will continue to work on this game, but there's no guarantees that I can get every idea off the top of my head into this game, but I will try my hardest. Some art in this game could be improved as well. I was happy with the graphics that I had already. A user who was watching another player play this game was kind of turned off by the graphics, saying it kind of looked like that it wasn't up to snuff, let's say. So I need to look into some ways that I can improve the art of my game and perhaps make the game look a lot better than it used. No one complained about the music, funnily enough, which means the music that I vote for this game can stay there. It's good, no need to change it. It means it was inoffensive, it was perhaps even nice to listen to. I'm just making a leap over here. There's some unused music that I have in this game, and I can even make these music tracks even better. Although to improve on these would take a lot of listening to. So I will continue to put my effort into this game because it is based on that I love, Mario Bros. 2. That's what I want this game to be. But I should be careful about implementing too much, as I might get feature bloat. Feature bloat is where you add too many features into your game and it can make your game way too long to finish. Now that I've said my piece about my game, I want to talk about the failed games that I also plan to release, but unfortunately failed way too long because of feature bloat. I did not have the plan set in place, the usual. I want to go back to about 2018 for this first game, and perhaps my first attempt at bringing this game to life. Now, I do not have the files on me, but I do have some of the art. I'll flash them up on the screen. As you may be wondering, hey, this is just Super Mario World. And you'd be right, this is just Super Mario World. But that's not the game I originally planned out to make. This first game was 3D and 2D. Now, I don't even know myself how I would plan or even begin to complete this game. It was a nightmare, both 2 and 3D to work on. This first attempt at making the game started out as a 2D section that would then make you perhaps fight a boss and move on to a 3D section where I had no idea what to do, like the world or whatever the character would explore. I did not have any plans for the 2D world. I don't even know how I would even make environments for a 3D game, since I did not have the experience at the time. To be honest, still don't have enough experience for that. So the 2D section would just be Super Mario Bros. 1, except you're replaced by a character in Vinesauce called Sponge. Now this Sponge guy I can pretty much relate to, you know, he gets down, he's sad, he soaks up all the sadness into his mustache. And I don't even know how I would make that a mechanic of the game. I planned for that to work in the 3D section, but nothing for the 2D part. I was mostly just trying to rip off Super Sponge Bros, if anybody remembers that. The main problem of this 2D section of the first attempt of this game is that it would just not work all I wanted to. And you know what that is? Fidget Body 2D. It just did not work the way I wanted it to. It felt too stiff or too loose, depending on how you move. And it just felt awful to work with. I did make some enemies for the game. I think they were just Koopas and Koopas. It just felt like I should just work on to the 3D section of the game instead of the 2D section, which I did. And this 3D section was just, again, like I did not know what to do. I first wanted to work with rigid bodies, but the rigid body controller felt too loose. And then I saw this thing called the character controller, which I wanted to use. And I don't even know why, but I abandoned this. I shouldn't have even abandoned it. I just wanted like custom physics, custom everything, but that just did not work. And you know why that did not work? I did not know anything about physics, collision resolution, you know, all that sort of stuff that comes on top of making custom physics. I did not know anything about that, and because of that mistake, it suddenly became a nightmare to work on this 3D section of the game. I would constantly have my character clip into walls. For no reason, the collision just did not feel all that tight, let's say. It just felt like Sonic Adventure, where you could just randomly clip through random objects or go past barrier zones, anything like that. It's safe to say this game was a huge disaster, and working on this was probably one of the worst experiences I've had game development. But it did teach me a lot, which is a lot of feature bloat that I put into this game, which is to be experienced and familiar with the plans and what you are set out to make for a game before you actually work on the game. If I had learned that lesson earlier, I would have not scrapped the idea, and I would stuck with character controllers for 3D. For 2D though, there's nothing else that acts like character controllers. We all have to make our own character controllers for 2D, and those aren't the best solutions in the world, but there are some pretty good ones out there. One that I'm looking into for this game that I'm working on, Temple of Mystery, and perhaps some other ones in the future, is a controller by Sebastian Lake. He's pretty good at what he does. He's way smarter when it comes to programming, so I can try to use his controller to make the physics, everything in my game feel better. I'll try to modify it perhaps and make it work the way that my game needs it to be. So then, now that the first attempt was pretty much dead in the water, and I kind of just felt demoralized. I felt like I had lost a huge part of that project, kind of deleted it off my computer or laptop at the time. The next thing I would do is make Sponge again, but this time only in 2D. Now, I hadn't learned from my past experiences with working on this game, on working with the 2D part of my last game, so I decided to try again, and this time I would use that Sebastian Lake controller. The problem I had though was that it would randomly clip, was that it would not work the way I intended it to. And this time I had some work with handling states and just being torn down by working on states from my character, which in hindsight I could have made way easier now that I've worked on this game. But the problem I had was that I constantly had to call my play velocity, change that a bunch, and just constantly do calls and calls and calls and calls and calls and calls. Instead of having a base state manager that I have, instead looking into how I could put my velocity controller into that, I could have put my player entity into the state manager, call that. But I felt like I had everything right. I felt like I had everything down already. I just had to do all these calls. And I also noticed a bizarre bug that I had in the game, which I could not fix for the life of me. Which is when you crouch, like underneath a tile or something like that. Let's say it's kind of like the bug where you can clip through the ground in Temple of Mystery. When you crouch, you would just clip into the top part of the ground, but you would not be pushed out. And that's because the controller did not come with that, which is pretty stupid to fix that. The tiles, I should have done that in hindsight, but I wanted to, make top tier level design, which I could not do because my experience in the game was too limited. I also had enemies in this game which are clearly inspired by Super Mario World. This game was meant to be kind of like my dream game if I made Super Mario World, but made with, kind of like Sponge's personality or everything that relates to him. I was kind of setting myself up for failure yet again. I kind of need to build a mental fortitude before I work on games. Now that the second game had completely failed, I also posted onto YouTube when it was in a completely unusable state. I even posted videos on it. And once I realized that this game had unfortunately failed, and that I kind of just needed to move on from the game, I decided to delete those videos. But I can still show you some videos that I still have of the game. Now, you can see from this footage that this game kind of felt a bit bland. It was just kind of sprawling open world. Well, not sprawling open world, it just kind of felt empty from left to right all the time. You'd barely see anything in your path. So, I kind of just scrapped it. It was probably the best option for me. So that now that I removed that game, first attempt failed, the second attempt failed, what should I do next? Oh, work on smaller projects instead, like a normal human being who does not have all the huge experience. And I just wanted to work on smaller projects. I worked on Temple of Mystery instead. This game originally was meant to be just a demo, but I decided, hey, you know what, let's work on, just a game again, but this time on a much smaller scale. And that worked out for me. I could not believe that worked out for me in the end. And I was pretty happy now. I didn't have to worry about making my graphics look like the best thing in the world. I did not have to worry about making my level design the best in the planet, above Shigeru Miyamoto. I did not have to make a whole story that could perhaps rival Hideo Kojima's, level of storytelling, whatever he does. I could instead work on pure gameplay, perhaps a few nuggets of story, and, just work on it. To my surprise, that worked. My plan now is to make a system that has all that I want for a platformer game all together, so that if I wanted to make another platformer game in the future, I could perhaps use the same code that I did before, perhaps refactor it, like I am doing now, I am refactoring my code, make it much more versatile, more robust, and I can make it way easier to develop a game. I don't even have to use Unity's rigid body 2D system, which, to be honest, is not all bad, but it's probably mostly used by beginners, if I'm being honest. I feel like Unity needs to implement a solution or work on a component system that does something similar to rigid body 2D. But not have all this bloat on top of it. I don't want randomly bouncing off enemies. I don't want my character to have undefinable jump heights. I had to change from rigid body 2D add force to velocity for that, so I had to directly change it, which is not what I think Unity wants me to do, but I had to do it anyways, and perhaps make it so that anyone could work into this system. This hypothetical rigid body 2D simplified system. That's probably what they should call it, if I'm being honest. Rigid body 2D simplified. There is kinematic that you can use, but there is no point in using that when you can't collide with the wall or anything like that. But just move around. I just kind of feel like they should make a simplified version of their rigid body systems. So yeah, that's my long run. This might be a long video. I'm literally holding my phone. It's about to reach 50 minutes. This is probably way trimmed down now. And I'm sorry if you've heard a blazing fan in this video. I might even do a good audio job and just remove all the fan noises. So yeah, that's all perhaps I think all the failed games that I've worked on. The current game I'm working on now. In the future, when I finish Temple of Mystery, I could look into making a system that works for 3D as well, and a normal type of platform. Right now, I'm trying to nail down the feeling of Super Mario Bros. 2 for my improved part of the game that I'm working on. To improve the graphics so that it doesn't look like you have, kind of like chunky arms or chunky legs or anything like this. It doesn't look amateurish, is what I'm trying to say. I could do with a bit more story, but apart from that, this video should end here. I could literally go on for about another hour of how this game came into being and what working on the game was like. And that's the end of this video. Hope you all have a good day. Hope you all have a good game development day. I know that people aren't getting all the recognition they want for that, but I know that there are some hard times. These are some trying times, but I'll see you all later. Bye.